I'm Travis Rice with my T.Ripper breakdown. So the deal with the T.Ripper is, long ago, on a planet far, far away, we decided it was a travesty that there was a lot of effort put into premium, high-quality boards for teenagers and adults, and that same energy and professionalism was not being put into a youth board. That kind of started the T.Ripper line. Since then, we've made modifications and perfected this board for all of the little people that probably rip harder than the majority of the old guard. So this is essentially a T-Rice Pro modified for the lightweights. This board excels for resort riding, park, but I filmed with this same base and board profile in the backcountry for many years. I actually hit a couple kickers last year on T-Rice Pro. This is prominent and dominant C2, which essentially you got banana between the feet, camber from the front foot to the nose, camber from the back foot to the tail. Why is this the profile of shape for the majority of the dominant Mervin riders? Because it works the best. I'll be the first one to tell you that. The beauty of why C2 works so well is you have a pivot point. So when you're going from edge to edge, you've got this high point that gives you the ability to get out of a turn and transfer over to the other edge quicker than you would on, say, a camber-based profile. The other beauty of this is it breaks the plane. I mean, you think about it, right? You have a camber board and you're riding soft snow or POW. Like, the whole thing is just loading up. The tail loads up to make the nose dive into the snow. With C2 and rocker in the middle, when you ride POW, you get the ability to kind of break that board plane. Camber wants to just throw the nose into the snow, tomahawking you in turn. With C2 and rocker in the middle, you're able to kind of break this board into two planes. And the beauty is you don't have to lean back and smoke your back leg in soft snow, because it's kind of a silly idea, really, when you go ride POW and you're just 90% of weight on the back foot. Like, obviously there's something wrong there, right? So that's why that's how C2 really came to be. So why don't you just go all banana, you ask? The problem with having a completely rocker board is I find it to be a bit gutless. I've ridden full rocker boards, and you kind of have this wheelie machine, right? You're kind of always getting thrown back on the back seat. You don't have the power and the control that comes with a bit of camber. We love camber. That's why we have it twice, ×2 on this board. With camber, you have the ability to still crack an ollie. I like to think of basically, back foot to the tail. This area of camber is essentially your second knee. You use that flex before you use your knee joint. So this is a savior for like flat landings, cracking ollies, any type of power and aggression. You want to do a power hack in POW on a full rocker board? Yeah, you'll get some snow to come up, but do it on a C2 board, and you can get that plume to. So this board, like the vast majority of Mervin boards, has Magne-Traction. Now, Magne-Traction is incredible. I've continued to try to go back to regular just because you need a base point to reference. You get so used to this, you need to mix it up to feel how it works or what it's doing different. Essentially with Magne-Traction, because you have these points, you're able to apply more pressure to a smaller area. This allows you to stop quicker, carve harder. My favorite component of it is when you have one consistent radial side cut and your board's on edge, like one little bump knocks that entire edge offline. The beauty of this is you can be doing, which normally is the case in the afternoon if you're on resort, right? Like, it's pretty chewed up. So you can be hammering a carve and you're constantly hitting these little bumps, and you'll lose like the front part of your edge, or you lose the back part of your edge. But with Magne-Traction, you can lose different parts of your edge and still maintain a carve, because you're not just a single lengthy radial side cut that's essentially digging through the same fractional piece of snow. For those that have or are planning on getting this snowboard, a quick pro tip recommendation. I personally think that I don't detune all my boards, but I do detune T-Rice Pro, and in turn I'd recommend the T.Ripper as well. Effective edge is essentially where your radial side cut ends. I would recommend on the T.Ripper about 1 inch of effective edge and go about an inch beyond that. Detune it. Now when you detune, you can just take a file, round it if you want. You're not going to screw anything up, but I think that this board rides better with a detune. Taking full responsibility around the long lineage of empowered art. You know, it's one of the most beautiful things being able to do boards with Mervin is collaboration and the importance that they understand that needs to be put into the art of a board. I draw a lot of inspiration and a lot of energy from the graphics that I'm lucky enough to collaborate with incredible artists from around the world. Rolling into this, I've wanted to do a board with Scof for many years. I've been to many of his shows. You know, we supported him through our art gallery called A Symbol for many years, and I'm basically just a fan. So this year we got together, had a bit of a conversation, and we came out with this, I would say, highly empowered art. Art is in the eye of the beholder, or at least its meaning or what it says to you. For us, and I think for Scof, you know, this graphic is essentially centered around a unseen benevolent support system that is here to help humanity on its strive to a higher conscious existence in how we treat each other, how we treat ourselves, and how we treat the world around us. This is an aspirational graphic made for an inspirational company. I think that it also, you know, complements a bit of, you know, the materials, the technology, and the ethos of how Mervin creates these boards. You know, I'm in Seattle right now, and these things are manufactured just about an hour to the west, out in Sequim, Washington, next to Port Angeles. And the lengths that Mervin has gone to create the most sustainable board building and board manufacturing on the planet are impressive. Decades of trying to crack the code of how do we not use toxic materials, how do we recycle and reuse as much as we can, and how are the materials that we use, the inks that we use, all adding up to do no harm, and we can do better. And so they continue to tool and improve the way that these things are made. I think more than anything, I'm really proud to have a snowboard that I think lives up to the hype around eco-conscious toy construction. I wish when I was young enough to be able to ride a board like this, there was a board like this, and now there is.